So for the premiere of the Acres TV show, Precious Metal, we've got kind of a story we've been talking about doing for a long time, Tony and I have. You guys know Tony Reed, and he's got somewhat of a social media famous tractor, his John Deere 4010.
Yep.
But that wasn't the biggest tractor on the farm he grew up on.
Yep.
What do we got behind us?
This is a 4230. What did he tell us? A 75?
Bought brand new April, so it was ordered fall 1974 because they were fed up with a 190 Alice Chalmers gas.
Yep.
And two brothers did. One just graduated from high school.
Yep.
And the other one was working at Fiat Alice Welding and said, "I don't care what you do, just get a different tractor."
Yep.
And they ordered this tractor brand new as a factory open station.
Yep. Yeah, so this is what it would have looked like when they bought it. And then he didn't really give a timeline. It wasn't very long into.
Couple years later,
they decided to put a year-round cab on it.
Yep.
And so they done that. And
well, first was the turbo.
Well, yeah, the turbo. Yeah, that's
They
right.
needed more power because we always need more power.
Yep.
And him and his brother were, I think they were running more ground or they bought bigger
Yes.
equipment.
Yep.
So they wanted a little more power. And first they put some other.
I thought he said an air research.
Yeah, just an air research turbo on it or something, and that didn't last. And they put the M&W kit on it, and
Yeah.
then they said with the straight pipe it was kind of loud with an open station, and so then they bought the year-round cab, and they paid way more for the year-round cab than they could have bought the factory Soundguard cab
Yep.
for originally. But
Yep.
but what the results of that is a really unique tractor.
Yeah.
And this all comes about because we did a article in Heritage Iron magazine talking about your 4010, and we mentioned this tractor.
Yep.
And the original owner read that story and said, "Well, a 4230 with a M&W turbo kit on it, and it was a factory open station with a year-round cab. There can't be too many of them around."
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was there.
Yep. We run this here. He's got the original paperwork with serial number on it. Matches up perfect. And so this tractor's never left. I don't know exactly what it'd be. We're gonna call it a 30-mile circle.
Yeah.
Been here the whole time.
Which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's, and that's it, it's work clothes, but the fenders are tougher than the rest of the tractor because the fenders had to get put on way later in life.
Yes.
And if you want a set of open station Soundguard fenders, good luck. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be real picky because there aren't a lot of options.
Yep.
So really, when you look at the actual tractor itself, she's still pretty straight.
Yep.
It's got the original metal. It's not really a decal. It's
Yep.
more of a badge.
Yep.
That the early 30 series had.
Yep. You can see the difference in the paint where the cab. I mean, of course, you got the black
Yep.
from the rubber, but little bit better paint. Obviously, up here, everything was protected versus.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I was going to show everybody too. I told Ryan and them other guys the story on this fan shroud. You see the plastic shroud here and it's got the louvers in it and whatnot. This side over here doesn't match. See how that's metal? So when I was a kid, my grandpa was a little bitty short guy, quite a bit shorter than what I am now. And of course, this tractor was in on narrow roads then. And he had it sitting here running one day and he went to put fuel in it. Well, he was short enough, he had to climb up on the tire to get the nozzle in because he'd always wedge it, open. It didn't have an automatic shutoff, so he'd have to stick his pocket knife in it and whatnot. And so he had the nozzle in his hand, and when he went and stepped on the tire to get up there, he slipped, and his hand went through the fan shroud. And luckily, all it done, it cut the top of his hand pretty bad. He had to have some stitches, but it didn't drag him in or get his arm or take any fingers off. So in the realm of things, he come out fairly unscathed. I don't know if he had 5, 6, 10 stitches, whatever, but overall it wasn't a bad deal. You can still see in behind here where the shroud's broke.
Was he pretty proud of this tractor?
He was. Yeah, he was. I think at the end of the day, he liked that 4010 just because that was the first, and we're going to call it modern by his standards, tractor. But yeah, this was the workhorse, reliable. I mean, never left him setting. I mean, I don't ever remember this tractor going to a John Deere dealership, ever. That 4010 did off and on some for hydraulic pump or different stuff here and there, clutch. He overhauled it once, but to my knowledge, this tractor never left the farm once it showed up. Like, it never went anywhere for work. Nobody ever touched it.
Yeah, like we talked about the perma-clutch and stuff, they just kind of worked. And it shows, 9,500 some hours on now, and I think it's legit.
Oh, yeah, I'd say it is for sure, yeah.
And one thing kind of cool is the AC compressor is still on there, and if you had a Soundguard cab, you would have had an AC compressor mounted there, but it would have been a Delco compressor, rotary compressor mounted there, and then you would have had AC condenser lines up in the front. Well, this actually had the condenser, I think, on the
Yeah, it was in the back of the
up
cab.
in the back with them
The back of the
fans.
cab had a big overhang about a foot or 18 inches
Yeah.
wide, and there was
Fans.
2 or 4 little fans in there. I don't remember now.
Yep.
But yep. But I wouldn't want to guess the thousands of hours Grandpa drove, and then been a little more room with the cab on it. But I sat down between the seat and the edge of the cab. That was all foam in there,
Yeah.
you know. And it probably wasn't a lot different than what a sound guard is. I mean, room wise
Yep.
and interior wise. But I sat in there for years.
And it was
right there.
It was a yellow seat like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, it was. Yep. Yep.
But it's been really cool to be able to trace this history back. And this is the first time you've driven this tractor, and
Yeah, it had been the early to mid 90s would have been the last time I drove it. So,
yeah.
yep.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
To
Yep.
do that. And
But it was the workhorse as far as it pulled a chisel plow, disc, field cultivator, had a 336 square baler. Sometimes the 4010 would pull it, but most of the time 4010 was raking or whatever, and so he'd put the square baler on this and pull
Yeah.
it. But the air conditioner never worked the entire time Grandpa. I do not ever remember that air conditioner working. So, and the doors on this wouldn't stay open. Like they had a deal in the latch or
Yep.
the lever.
Yep.
You could lock them open, but them locks never worked. So the doors were always shut, but the windows were open.
yeah.
And I mean, it was hot in there, but we didn't think nothing about it. We didn't know any different, I guess. So
Well, and Dale was saying that that cab was hot, but when they were hauling gravity boxes into the elevator and stuff
Yeah.
in the fall,
Yep.
that cab was kind of. And then he talked about those windows, being his guidance
Yep.
for tillage. So
Yep.
yeah, really, really cool to hear that. And it's still. I was just looking at this. Them sound guards, when they get worn pretty bad, that front axle will be all wet all the time because
Yeah.
there's always something come
Yeah.
off that hydraulic pump.
Yep.
I don't see it drop on it yet.
No, and I mean where it was sitting when we got here, we moved it out. But I mean, no, there ain't oil leaks or nothing pouring out of it by any means.
No,
and I promise you, with being on this and with the amount of hours, this tractor's getting used a lot. I mean,
yeah.
which I think's cool. I mean, it's still in its work clothes,
Oh,
going every day. I like that better than if it was just set and tucked in a barn somewhere and the fuel's all snotted up every time you go to drive it because it ain't been started for 2 years.
well, and even if you look at the nose cone, the fiberglass nose cone isn't busted. The planter markers there.
Yep. When I was a kid, it had the big the suitcase style.
Yep.
They weren't the great big. Did they make like a 75-pound weight or something? I don't think these were the big hundreds, but I could be mistaken. It's just been too long. But they didn't seem as big as like the ones on my 45,
Well,
55. These were thicker but shorter.
Yeah, they're 100-pounders. They're just the 30 and 40 style weight.
Okay, maybe maybe
so they
that's-
changed
yeah.
the weight style.
Yep.
And that's but yeah, really, really neat old tractor. And on quad range and just an 18-438s. I mean, she was a
Yep. I remember one time when I was a kid watching Grandpa